Hello, everybody, and welcome for this NetSuite webinar series once again. Today we are focusing on NetSuite for manufacturing companies, and my name is Petteri Martikainen, and I'm a business development manager at Staria.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrei Postolache. I'm a senior solution consultant here at Staria, and today we will be talking about NetSuite for manufacturing companies. So, what is NetSuite? Well, NetSuite is the first true cloud ERP system. It was created in 1998. Back in those times, it was called NetLedger. It was like an accounting tool delivered within your web browser. Pretty revolutionary for those times. Yet it evolved pretty quickly, and supply chain modules, CRM modules were added to this fairly quickly. So it became a full suite of functionalities and processes, and that's why it was rebranded quickly in a NetSuite. And currently, this is a worldwide deployed system, a true multi-tenant cloud system, which means it constantly evolves. And NetSuite has the right architecture and the setup that allows it to constantly upgrade. So there are two major product releases per year that bring in new functionality into the system without disturbing the current operations and the flows. Well, how does that actually work, and how does that seamlessly work for over 39,000 customers that NetSuite has worldwide? First of all, it's the base. It's the unified cloud platform, which is the base layer of NetSuite's architecture. It's actually the code base that gets upgraded twice a year. It handles the centralized master data. It is the code of the application in this unified cloud platform. Now, every business is special in their own way. Some projects require integration. Some projects require some individual setup. And NetSuite has a very powerful platform for personalizing and customizing the system further in order to meet each customer's individual requirements at the right moment. All those account customizations are contained, as you can see, on a separate layer, which is not affected in a negative way, not impacted during the upgrade. Also, it is not influenced by whatever new features are coming. It is just enhanced and allows us to basically personalize the system to any liking. As said, NetSuite is a true ERP system, which means its processes go way beyond the core financials. It can handle professional service organizations, which we will be covering in a separate webinar. It fully supports supply chain management, omni-channel commerce, has CRM capabilities, and that BFN stands for Built for NetSuite. So this acronym that you can see here stands for the ecosystem of partners that leverage the potential of Suite Cloud Platform to develop additional logic, additional add-ons on NetSuite, certify them with Oracle, and then they become Suite apps. And Staria is also a Suite app provider, which you can explore further on our website or reach out to us to discuss more about. NetSuite's One World capabilities allow customers to manage multiple companies in one single software instance, with providing support for multi-company and multi-country businesses, supporting local regulations in different countries and tax compliance, and of course providing consolidated reports, intercompany framework, automated elimination, and of course multi-currency transactions. NetSuite is fit for the industry, meaning it has most of the processes that the customers would expect to see in a certain industry. As far as manufacturing is concerned, NetSuite can support with manufacturing on order, manufacturing on stock, then all the flows with regard to some subcontracted or outsourced production, and much more. And it's packed with lots of reports and KPIs and dashboards that you will see in today's example as well, in order, of course, to support the business decision process. So what would be the top 10 NetSuite benefits for manufacturing companies. Well, on the first hand, NetSuite unifies financials, CRM, e-commerce, and manufacturing operations into a single platform, reducing the need for multiple disparate systems and ensuring seamless data flow across departments. Access to real-time data and customizable dashboards enables manufacturers to take informed decisions quickly, improving overall business agility and performance. Features like demand planning, supply chain optimization, and real-time inventory tracking help manufacturers maintain optimal inventory levels, reducing carrying costs and preventing stockouts. NetSuite streamlines production processes with tools for managing work orders, scheduling, and production planning, ensuring efficient and timely manufacturing operations. Comprehensive supply chain management tools provide end-to-end visibility from procurement and supplier management all the way to order fulfillment and supply allocation strategies, thus enhancing coordination and reducing the lead times. With advanced forecasting and demand planning capabilities, manufacturers can align production schedules with market demand, minimizing overproduction and stock shortages. Obviously, the accurate cost tracking is very important, and NetSuite offers precise tracking of all manufacturing costs, including direct labor, materials, and overheads. This ensures accurate cost allocation to each product, enhancing cost visibility, control, and profitability accuracy. NetSuite automates financial operations from intercompany elimination, financial consolidation to accounting, financial reporting, ensuring compliance, and providing a clear financial overview of the business. Of course, NetSuite's cloud-based platform scales with the business, accommodating growth and changes in manufacturing process without significant additional IT investments. And finally, last but not the least, by incorporating CRM functionality, NetSuite helps manufacturers manage customer relationships more efficiently, all from the lead generation through quotation, sales, order management, after sales support, basically enhancing customer satisfaction and also the retention. Now let's have a brief look at a high-level look, of course, at a solution. How does NetSuite look like, how it behaves, and let's discuss different key areas of the system. So in order to access NetSuite, all I need is a browser. NetSuite is browser agnostic, meaning most of well-known browsers out there would work. We would need to provide our credentials and click the login button, and we are in the system regardless where we are on the globe. Of course, we need an internet access, but not more than that. I will begin with an introductory view of NetSuite, assuming that not everyone on the call today has seen NetSuite before. So before we deep dive into more specific areas, maybe it's a good thing to begin with to discuss the overall user interface. So first of all, NetSuite is a role-based application. So roles in NetSuite define the access level of the users to different companies, subsidiaries, and processes. So basically, the roles are deciding or let's say representing segregation of duty layers. We can define the access of a role, of a user having a role down to a certain field. So in other words, roles define who can do what in which areas of the system. Here I have a sample. I have a demo account with a sample set of roles predefined. So okay, I can switch different hats during today's presentation and show you the system from different angles. In real life, users will have typically one role assigned to them. I will begin with the CFO role, even though today we're not going to focus on financials, but still financial is a big part of any business, and manufacturing business is not an exception. But this is to introduce you to the look and feel of the system. So each user, when they log into the system, they are being taken to a so-called home dashboard. Dashboard contains different portlets or widgets or screens. Different portlets, as you can see here, I can drag and drop them around my dashboard, rearrange, hide, or add some more. Basically, as an end user, I can personalize the layout of the page depending on the screen size of the device that I'm using and the amount of information I want to consume when I log into the system. And then there are different types of portlets. As you can see, some of them are graphical, some of them are text-based. So from this list of personalized screen, I can just drag and drop whatever type of portlet I want and then configure it in a user-friendly way. A few examples of portlets. The first one would be the reminders portlet that you can see on the left side of my screen. It basically summarizes the things that I would like to keep an eye on, basically the things that I would like to keep like a to-do list, any exceptions as part of my daily routines, maybe some late outstanding orders, or maybe overdue invoices for accounts receivable, or bills that I'm already that are already due to be paid for accounts payable, or late demand, or and so on. So this is role specific, of course. A very nice and useful reminder portlet that would be used by most of the users in NetSuite. So you can see here, for instance, I have 13 orders that are requiring my approval, maybe some bills that need to pay, some overdue bills. We can summarize a lot of use cases into the reminders. Then NetSuite is packed, as I said in the previous slides, is packed with KPIs. Those KPIs are all over the system. There is a set of quite a few KPIs available out of the box, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel and think about how to correctly calculate, for example, COGS. You just add it from a set of standard KPIs. Nevertheless, in a user-friendly way, users can create custom KPIs as well. What you see here is a key performance indicator portlet that summarizes a set of KPIs, as you can see, from all the corners of my business, assuming, of course, my role has access to this data set. For example, I can see my cost of goods sold here, this period versus last period, or I can, of course, change the dimensionality. Sales, revenue, bank balance, any other KPIs can be added here. It is really easy and intuitive to set up a portlet. Just click on the setup button, and then in a graphical way, you can either add a standard or a custom KPI from the list, right? Then choose how you want to analyze this KPI, choose a different period, and how you want it to relate. You can visualize KPIs in the form of this kind of gauge or KPI meters called in NetSuite, which produce you a snapshot of the value of a given KPI at a given moment, comparing it to the value of the previous month. Obviously, we can also report KPIs on the graph. As you can see down here, I have a graph portlet that comprises 3 KPIs on one single screen. So I have my cost of goods sold, my AP balance, and my income. You can change the graphical representation of your graphs, and also you can hover your mouse over to see the actual values, maybe remove certain components from the analysis, and also see the moving average. Additionally, you can change the period at which you're looking at the data, regardless if it's financial or operational data, depending, of course, on the KPI. Sometimes you would need to look at daily numbers, and sometimes you would need to look at year-to-date or quarter-to-date numbers. Also, from the top view, I can produce a trend graph just by clicking on this arrow, just to see how a certain KPI evolves, so I don't necessarily have to add graphs for all the KPIs into my system. Additionally, there are other groupings of the values available, but we don't have time today to discuss about that. If you want to know more, reach out to us. We will be happy to arrange a call and explore more about NetSuite KPIs. Now, what is important here, that all the information on this dashboard is real-time information. So it comes from the real-time multidimensional ledger, which is at the basis, at the core of NetSuite. Whenever we post a transaction, say we receive a purchase order in stock, or we issue a customer invoice, that has immediate impact on our ledger and immediately affects all the KPIs that you can see here. Also, the data in NetSuite is linked, so it means that we can drill through that data. It is not about static pre-processed tables. We don't have to wait for some scheduled jobs to run and calculate the data, which means we can drill through that right away. For example, say I'm looking at the revenue for my previous period KPI. I can actually, with a click of a button, drill into that number and get down to the report that actually calculated it. As far as reports are concerned, what we can do here, we can extend the reporting range by adding dimensions. We can export reports. We can schedule them to be delivered every day to our mailbox if needed. Let me, for instance, switch it to this fiscal year. So here you can see my full P&L with the detailed breakdown of cost of goods sold by the different categories, including conversion costs details. This is a consolidated P&L. We will talk about financials in separate sections, but NetSuite supports multi-company businesses, so I can always produce that by company. Additionally, NetSuite's ledger comes with multiple segments, or also dimensions can be called. You can add additional dimensions if you need, but by default you get class, department, and location available to report on. And for instance, if I would check my split my P&L by department, I will see up here like each column would represent a department in my company. With a click of a button, I can further drill down into the data. So for example, say I can see that I have some expenses here on the advertising under my marketing department. You can see this 15K. So with a click of a button, I can actually drill into the data right from my report. So I don't have to search for any transactions. And with another click, I can just reach that particular transaction that posted to those accounts in the respective time frame. So as a group CFO in this example, from my consolidated KPI on my dashboard, it took me like 3 clicks in order to get down to the lowest level, which is the transaction, right? And you take it from there. It all happened in one single screen, and this is the beauty of NetSuite's navigation. Now that we are a bit familiar with the look and feel of the system, I will switch my role really quickly to administrator to show you some already. We will move into more manufacturing specific stuff. At the heart of all our supply chain processes are the items. Of course, there are vendors, customers, and more, but the items are at the heart of it because the items we buy, the items we produce and sell, and we track inventory against that. That is really important. And for the different industries, NetSuite provides support for multiple types of items. Now, if I were to create a new item, this is the list of different types of items NetSuite supports. We can support with service items if you want to sell some additional services or software next to your hardware components, which is a pretty trendy thing today. Non-inventory items for the items we don't want to track inventory against. Inventory items that can be extended to be either lot numbered or serialized. So basically we can track individual serial numbers of our component items and how they go into sub-assemblies or assemblies. Or this can be batch tracked items, very relevant for food and beverage industry, where we track different batches of products with different expiration dates, and we can also accommodate for first expire, first out algorithms of consumption. Another example will be some chemical products, which are also batch numbered. Jumping over a few other item types is the assembly. So the assembly, of course, is the item that we are building, the item that has a bill of material behind it. NetSuite supports multi-level bill of materials, so we can have sub-assembly processes. Assemblies can be, again, simple. They can be serialized if our finished good is serial enabled, or they can be lot numbered if we are in an industry like food and beverage, for example. We can combine different types of inventory and subassembly items that go into a final finished good item. And again, there are limitless combinations. If you want to know more, reach out to us. We will make it your context specific. Now, with respect to an item, it is one thing that I would like to show you is the item 360 dashboard. Basically, you can always look at an entire, let's say, produce an entire 360 view around a given item, given product. In this case, I will choose my centrifugal pump. So now this dashboard is loading and presenting me with different elements around this item, whatever relates to it from my entire business, whether it's sales, purchases, production, or quality and others. And in this case, you can see my overall item that I'm looking at. I'm looking for all the companies and all the locations. I have basic item information, and then I have the item alerts that show me the different supply chain alerts. Well, where I'm a bit late in certain locations, or maybe where I need to release or receive a certain purchase order. Supply planning related messages, that certain work orders or sales orders are past due. If I dive into inventory, I will have lots of inventory information available to my fingertips. Instantly, I can see inventory by location. So each location will show me the amount of items I have on hand, committed, available to be fulfilled. Again, we have a live stock reservation algorithm running behind. So if this item is already committed to another sales order or to another production order, it will be decreased from the available quantity, so we cannot over promise. And we can also see what is on the order available to be soon built, and so on. We can summarize that by lot, in this case by batch, right? Because it's a batch number, it's not a serial number. We support, NetSuite supports inventory statuses, so you can see we can assign different statuses, good, quarantine, and in any other statuses, and define what if the status is fulfillable or not. So for example, if we received 10 items of these from the vendor and they are broken, or the package is broken, we can quarantine it. So basically we can still receive them into stock, but with a quarantine status. Projected on hand quantity that shows all the consumption inbound and outbound, and how that affects the on hand quantity of the item in time, right? We can look at all the inbound transactions, so what is expected to influence it inbound. And here you can see we have a good mixture of purchase orders, work orders, return authorizations, and transfer orders that impact the inbound quantity of this item. Outbound obviously means the other way around. We have some sales orders and also an intercompany transfer order that are basically outbound. In terms of purchasing related information, again, as you can see, we are getting the information from all the areas of the system. So I can see that, and I have an open purchase order with the quantity and the reference and when we are expecting to receive that. The three-way matching in NetSuite is automatical, and also it's enhanced by Staria's Flow AP suite app, which automates the inbound invoice processing. In this case, you can see we have three purchase orders. They are fully billed. Basically, we have already created invoices for them. We have a summary of ordered versus received quantities and percentage if it's fully received or not. If we have any variance, and if we have any variance versus the invoicing calculated here. If we go in the manufacturing area, the system will summarize what are the related manufacturing orders we have, what are the planned work orders for the future, deriving from the MRP engine, the supply planning engine of NetSuite. If we go into sales, again, we will see the open sales orders, any return authorizations and other things. We can look into some sales analytics if needed. So in this case, if I choose, for instance, United States subsidiary, I would see the sales evolution of this particular item for the last 24 months, or I can change it to a different to a different volume, and I can expand also on some more reporting capabilities. NetSuite also integrates quality management. We'll briefly go through that. So we can also trigger quality inspections integrated to the order management process, whether we fulfill or we receive the goods, and of course into the production process itself. So since I was speaking about wearing different hats, switching on to the start, which is the revenue, the CRM, and the sales process. So for sales, what NetSuite has to offer for sales in manufacturing companies, well, a complete CRM solution where say your sales teams can track their progress, they can establish quotas and track their performance against them. The lead to customer conversion is automatic. It requires just a bit of configuration, but it's already there as a process. Now, for instance, as a sales manager here managing a team of sales reps, I can always look, for example, my open opportunities. This is my pipeline, which is in discussion, right? I can see how much is in discussion, how much, these statuses are basically configurable. We can define how the system progresses each the opportunities through the different stages depending on where you are in the sales cycle. Some businesses require a shorter sales cycle. Some businesses can sell for or negotiate during half a year, and they have 20 different stages. So this is basically a live pipeline report showing me, for instance, if I look at Bird Brokers, this is my sales rep. I can see they have 3 opportunities in negotiation. So I can see that this amount, if I click on it, I will see the actual transactions. So these are the 3 opportunities that Burt has in his current pipeline. If I click one more time on this particular opportunity with just one click of a mouse, I can see the actual transaction. I can see that within this opportunity, we have already quoted the customer. Of course, I have the customer information with the customer 360 view around their financials and sales setup. I can see what are the items and the prices that we are discussing in these opportunities. Also, the related sales, I can see the quote or the quotes that have been issued with their expiration dates. Again, pretty valid. And from the quote, which is already a first customer facing document, I can generate a sales transaction that of course will put already demand on my inventory and drive my subsequent supply chain. Also on the quote, for instance, when forming the quotes or the sales orders, if I were to edit that, we can use NetSuite's supply allocation engine for the available to promise. So for instance, if I see I have these welding regulators, 3 of them that I need to ship. If I want to explore like the expected ship date, of course, I can set up based on what the customer asks, but I can also see the options and basically ask the system to show me when I can have this product by location. And for instance, if I select Boston, the earliest available date, you can see it's 6th of October due to, whatever stocks and supply and demand that I already have in that location. If I choose, say, Denver, then I can see that it's 9th of August because I have a different supply chain case or setup there at the moment. So we can assign a different location and basically manage those dates realistically integrated to our supply chain. Now for production, let me switch to the production manager. As I have said, the assembly items, they have bills of materials. We can also support you with the manufacturing routing that contains additionally the manufacturing operations. So you can capture your manufacturing related costs, costs related to machinery operations and labor. You can capture them in a way more detailed level under the assembly, the finished good cost. So from the dashboard, that again, you can see it changes as my role changes. Now I have a totally different mix of KPIs and links and reports and all the different graphs that I'm interested in. So now my operations resume to, the work orders and maybe some transfer orders and items that I need to get. If I go into my reports to begin with for the manufacturing process, just to highlight an item here. Just a second. Yeah, it's in the inventory. Okay, so we can have, for example, a bill of material inquiry just to show you the structure of that bill of material. So I'll choose an assembly item like this one. And let's say for my San Francisco location. So this is the structure of my SAF 200 assembly item. NetSuite also supports bill of material revision, so you can track different versions of bills of material. And you can see I have a multi-level bill of material that comprises different sub-assemblies. For each of them, I can track the quantity per assembly. We can set up a yield if you have a normal, like a yield during the manufacturing process. And then we have a summary of the conversion unit cost, the actual unit cost, the total, and a summary of the different values like on hand and available currently in stock in San Francisco per each subassembly and the component itself. The conversion costs come from the manufacturing routing, and of course the material cost is the cost of the overall components. Now, going back to my dashboard, for example, I can navigate to the different exceptional reports. Say I want to track my late work orders. So I can see here, I will switch to the normal view. So here I can see a summary of all my production orders that have different statuses with different start and end dates for the different locations. We can use apply different filters and conditional formatting to highlight all sorts of exceptions, what is late, what is on time, percentage of completion of each production order, so we can very easily navigate through this data. Some of the production orders can be directly linked to our sales. Again, that depends on the manufacturing use case. If it's a manufacturing on order, then we basically create a production order right away from the sales transaction, and those will be linked up till the end. So those items produced in this production order will go to the sales order 2499, while the others will be produced for stock. If I were to open a work order in process, just to show you the different components here, that's already an in-process work order, which means we have already issued components. Down here, I have my items per my bill of material that are required to build the assembly. I can see how many of them are used in building this particular work order, and also we have real-time reservation. If I look in the related records, I'll see there are already some completions reported under this production order. I can always enter the completion or even with the backflash, so it will also automatically issue the components. Once we enter the completion, based on the quantity consumed, NetSuite will consume stock of the raw materials, add any conversion cost if we have any routing operations defined on the assembly, and of course calculate the accurate cost of the finished good. Speaking of the costs, we support different cost methods. By default is the average costing method, but we can also support you with a standard costing method with tracking variances from the standard planned costs, and also specific costing methods in case we need to track batch level costing. Now, for the purchasing manager, again, NetSuite will show what are the different exceptions and vendor performance metrics, and what the items are that we need to order, and so on. At the heart of supply chain, NetSuite has an MRP engine, which is optional. You can add it anytime. We will talk about phasing in a second. Nevertheless, the MRP engine can take into account current demand defined by your sales and quotes in your pipeline. Also, you can add forecasted demand calculated either externally and imported from an Excel file, or calculated within the system. So basically looking at historical sales, meeting some seasonality trends if your product is seasonal, and projecting them in a demand plan. Then basically calculating what is needed to fulfill that demand, basically the production orders that we need to create in time, and based on those production orders and the bills of materials, define what items are to be ordered, and that creates planned purchase orders. In my case, as a purchasing manager, all I need to be aware of in this case is the items that I need to order, and I can have a holistic view of all the items that require replenishment. These can be simple reorder point items for which I just track the stock levels and the reorder points. So if the quantity available goes below, then obviously I need to reorder up to my preferred stock level. So that's why the math is 42. If I look into what the MRP suggested me to order in time, you can see I have plenty of different components that I need to order, and I also have the order times defined here, as you can see. NetSuite automatically, so each line here represents an item in time that I need to create a purchase order for. NetSuite can default vendors if they are available and defined on the item master data, or we can select at this moment a different supplier, choose the currency, and also the pricing, if it's available on the item master, will be defaulted, as you can see. So the system recommended me to order 45 of whatever components here by 14th of June, because I need to meet some kind of demand from my MRP. And I can actually select that or select all of them. After I'm done clicking submit, and NetSuite will automatically queue the creation of purchase orders. And then normally a purchase order will then go through the logical phase of receiving that. So if we want to receive the PO, and on the PO we have some serialized items, then the system will ask us to populate the serial numbers that we are getting in stock, and of course we'll track that along the supply chain, including in the work order builds. If we have batch, respectively, we will have to define the batch. So here we are receiving some widgets in San Francisco location, a piece of one. It's not a serialized item, but still I can define in which status I'm receiving that. Maybe it's a quarantine and needs to be reviewed, and so on. We can add additionally landed costs upon the receipt, very useful for those manufacturers that import their goods themselves, basically going through the customs and applying some freight costs or custom duties or import fees. You can configure these landed costs, including that you can configure them by each line of the PO, and also configure the templates of mostly used landed costs grouped together. This can, of course, will affect the cost of the goods that you are receiving. So at this moment it's 45 for one. If I add some custom duties, say 100 taxes I had to pay, then that will of course impact and make it 145 in my costing. NetSuite is packed with reports for all the different areas, whether we are talking about purchases or inventory or production. They are available out of the box. Also, as a process, we have a quality management module that integrates different quality specifications and inspections based on the different events. We can trigger that when we receive some goods. We can trigger that when we produce the goods, or we can trigger that when we ship them to the customer. After the setup is done and the quality inspections are defined, a quality operator can use a mobile device to just process it in real time online to process the different types of quality inspections. As you can see, they are per location, per different types of transactions. So here I'm expecting a return authorization from a customer, maybe claiming some faulty product. So I need to check something there. And then I'm receiving a PO and I'm building a work order, and so on. We can, of course, apply different filters. Say I want to focus on New Jersey, and I have let me move to the other one. I have this work order 670. If I enter here, this is my quality inspection that I need to submit in order for this work order completion to move forward. Depending on the setup, if this inspection fails, then that inventory is quarantined and I have to follow up and I have to inspect and check additional things. So here, for example, I can enter some sampling and I can put a defect count, so 8 out of 10 or maybe 1 out of 10. The system already tells me that it's gonna fail the actual inspection. Then I can record some settings, the temperature, the spinning, whatever you want to define. You can even take pictures and assign them, as a visual inspections, and then that inspection will also be a linked a linked component to your actual transaction. And finally, what I wanted to finalize my demo with is the analytics. So NetSuite is a really powerful system when it comes to handling the end-to-end business processes from the CRM all the way to quality and after sales with warranty management and of course all the costing in between. Nevertheless, it also allows a lot of means to report those KPIs and a few reports that you have seen today. And on top of that, there is also this analytic workbooks feature, which allows us to produce analytic views and reports like pivot tables and charts based on the different areas of the business. We can analyze sales, we can analyze purchases, we can analyze production efficiency with that. And opening a template report is my manufacturing workbook here that is loading now. This is basically the data set. So I'm looking at my different production transactions, and it's just a drag and drop. I can choose what fields I want to add into my data set, and then very much like in an Excel file, but with the difference being that this is real data from your ERP system. You can create all sorts of aggregated reports, for example, pivot tables, right? In this case, we are looking at a production cost per period by assembly, and you can see we have a very familiar interface to those using Excel pivot tables, right? We have rows, columns, and measures. We can create calculated measures. We can expand the different columns if they are hierarchical. In this case, we're looking at the dates, right? And again, we can save these workbooks, which are collections of different visualizations, and deploy them to certain user groups, or we can add elements of them in our home dashboard. If we were to look at a chart, for example, a total production cost by month, in my case, in my account setup, I have multiple subsidiaries accounting in different currencies. And since I'm bringing an amount of a transaction from the different areas, the system tells me that the measure that I want to put on the graph contains values in multiple currencies which cannot be visualized. So for obvious reasons, I cannot put euros and dollars and GBPs all together on one line unless I convert that to a single currency denominator. And what I can do in my reporting right away here in NetSuite is I can just go ahead and I choose a conversion option, and I can translate all the underlying transactions, for example, to euro, and I can choose the exchange rate of 5th of May. And once I click apply, all the underlying, in this case, assembly bills will translate to euros, and my graph will display because now I have everything converted to a common currency. And the same applies to all the other report components. And with that, I would like to conclude our short, quick tour of a little bit of everything about NetSuite. And I will switch to my presentation. So since this is a pre-recorded webinar, there is no way for us to collect live questions, but we will be following them. You can submit them after you review the webinar, and we will gladly answer those. I would like to maybe talk quickly about 3 things I think are commonly asked or at least thought about manufacturing companies when they approach an ERP project. In the context of NetSuite, to begin with would be a question like what would be the recommended approach in a manufacturing project in terms of implementing one, because Manufacturing spans across multiple processes, right? We need to take care of sales, we need to take care of finance, we need to take care of inventory, production, and much, much more. The good thing about NetSuite as an ERP system is that it's a modular system, and with that we can add complexity as we progress in our project stages. This means that we can phase out an ERP implementation project, so you don't have to lock all of your department's best people in a room for 1.5 years and implement a big bang project with a huge change management in your operations and training everyone. You can phase out the project, start with the core things that generate most of the value, the critical parts that need to be replaced. For instance, of course, it's the financial is the core, right? Your chart of accounts, global or local one. Then setting up your item masters, your customers and vendor information, and basically putting on the rails the core supply chain process. Then in the next stages, once the phase one is complete, is live, users are comfortable in using the system and they know the flows, then we can look at adding the MRP for supply chain planning. We can look at adding quality management for automating that quality process. We can add manufacturing routing to your bill of material to increase the level of the details of the cost capturing in your production. We can add whole warehouse management system to automate, the mobility of your increase the mobility of your people in the warehouses. That very much depends on the size of the company, on the complexity, what systems they already have in place. And speaking of those comes the next point is how about the integration. So we're being constantly asked, in RFPs and all the discussions that we have with our customers, how well does NetSuite integrate? To what system does it integrate? Well, NetSuite is one of the most open, in a good way, platforms when it comes to exchanging data with third-party applications. There are connectors to well-known software out there in the marketplace, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel and build every time an integration from scratch. Most projects that we deliver at Staria involve some sort of integrations, from simple ones all the way to really heavy e-commerce integrations, product development, software integrations, and so on. Well, for instance, Salesforce is a typical system to integrate with when it handles CRM. Even though NetSuite can handle CRM in-house internally, it can also integrate to software like Salesforce. With regard to more, let's say, production, supply chain related, we can integrate to CPQ tools, to product lifecycle or product development management systems, CAD systems. There are also some connectors there. Manufacturing execution systems. So if you want to capture the metrics from your shop floor and push them to NetSuite, there can be an integration built or already available to your MES system. Typically, it comes down to the other system. If it can provide the data, then we can of course accommodate that with NetSuite. Also, EDI is not a bad option for exchanging the order information with your customers and distributors and suppliers. And finally, speaking of those of customers and suppliers and other entities, how is the data migration done in NetSuite? Well, we have a very good methodology of delivering our projects, which starts with an analyze phase, where we look at your data, we look at your processes, we organize the workshops per functions, and then we deploy the project timeline exactly. We write the business requirements documentation that depicts exactly how the project is going to be delivered. And the part of it, of course, is the data analysis with the data migration. We assist you during that phase for obvious reasons. It is you who own the data because you know best what is good and what is wrong and what is a clean data, what is a duplicate for your data. Nevertheless, we provide you with the right templates to fill in. Those templates are basically CSV files, or you can open them in Excel. And once you fill them in with your data with regards to customers, vendors, items, chart of accounts, and anything else, then we fetch that into NetSuite and we validate that and we move onwards. And with that, I would like to thank you for your time. Looking forward for your questions and for your requests to know more about how NetSuite helps manufacturing companies achieve their objectives. And with that, yep, I wish you a great day and a great summer ahead, and looking forward for a fruitful collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrei. We are about to be done here. Mm, if you have any further questions or anything regarding NetSuite, just contact us and we are happy to answer the questions and maybe help you find out if the NetSuite is a perfect solution for you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.